I want to thank all of you, the thousands of you, for joining us here today. So we'll call to order our April meeting of the Bankruptcy Professionals Association. Really don't have much on the agenda, but I wanted to go over a couple things, or a handful of things that are happening in the court that you might be aware of or might not, but you know, they're deadlines and you should be aware of them. The first is the CMECF orders implementation, and you should have gotten an email from the court today that indicates that we are going live on that program here in Fort Myers and Tampa on May 4th. So how that affects you is that two ways. One, effective May 4th, when you submit your proposed orders, you'll need to submit them in a PDF format that's direct from the word processor. You'll do away with the date and signature lines, and you'll add a 3-inch margin on the first page and the first page only. So it's like how they've been doing things in the Southern District. I think that this is going to allow the court to automate a lot of the process now. I don't know if you can get an automated stamp at the top when it's signed by the judge, dated and court seal. At least that's how I've seen it in other courts throughout the country. But again, May 4th, which is a little over a week away. And when I looked at the website today, I saw that there was a revised style guide online. I had some questions about how the order is supposed to end. In the Southern District, you're supposed to put 3 pound signs. It doesn't appear that there's any such requirement here. So I was personally curious as to that. So you'll want to update your forms and get with your staff on that May 4th. I suspect that they'll start rejecting orders. You'll also be submitting your orders through CMECF as opposed to that other e-orders, Dropbox or whatever form, whatever you call that. And I'm told that on the court's website there's a training module. I'm not really sure what that means, but I guess there's just some sort of video or something that you can watch that'll show you how to do that. And again, I suspect that the court will start rejecting the orders after May 4th, or maybe they won't even get them since they take the other system down. But certainly with the 3-inch margins and things, won't be able to accommodate it. Also want to call your attention to the Court Connection newsletter that came out earlier this month. It's got a lot of great information in it and a couple things that are happening in the court that sort of will affect our practices. There's a larger write-up on this CMECF orders there. I know there's something there for those of you that represent debtors about the debtors being able to opt in for electronic noticing as opposed to paper noticing. I guess that might be more convenient for them. I don't know when that's going to go live, but it appears to be a national program. There's some clarification in there about procedures for emergency matters. I know that's one of the court's pet peeves, and it affects, not only is it a pet peeve that might affect the ruling on your emergency matter, but in particular following the court's procedures ensures that your emergency matter comes to the appropriate chamber's attention and case manager's attention. There's, for instance, there's another website. You link to it from the main website where there's a form that you fill out, and that advises chambers that hey, there's an emergency matter that's been filed, needs to be attended to, because otherwise it may be a day or two before it comes to anyone's attention. There's also information in there about the South Dakota judge, as Judge Delano's referred to it. For those of you that are interested in applying or know someone who's interested in applying, the 8th Circuit is soliciting applications for a bankruptcy judge with a duty station, at least initially, in Orlando. I have heard rumors that 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 judge is going to handle the Fort Myers docket. But I don't know. Judge Delano is prepared to give that up. But I think applications might be due in June sometime. I think there's a guaranteed 5-year commitment in Orlando. And then otherwise there's a chance that you might be reassigned somewhere in the 8th Circuit or in South Dakota. I don't know. For those of you that aren't aware, they've formed or reconstituted the local Federal Bar Association. I think they're calling it the Southwest Florida Federal Bar Association. There's a kickoff event scheduled in this room tomorrow. I think from 3:30 to 5. It's been reconstituted mostly, it seems, by sort of court family, law clerks, former law clerks, but I think they've had over 100 people join the organization, and I think that they're trying to have regular meetings and give you opportunities to hone your federal practice skills if you have any outside of bankruptcy, and also interact with the judges. I know I attended last week a lunch with Judge Paul Magnuson. He's a district judge who's been coming down here as a visiting judge for as long as I've been practicing, it seems. And he had ruled in several of my cases that had been pending in district court. I had never met him, but it was kind of neat. It was a small group setting in chambers. There was 8 of us, and that was the maximum capacity, and the judge. And it was just, you had lunch. Lunch was provided. I think that's, I guess what the dues pay for. But it was kind of a nice opportunity to, talk to the judge about, get to know the local federal judges, and you sort of could pick their ear on whatever you wanted. He had some opinions on bankruptcy appeals and things like that, and it was just interesting to hear his perspective. Another thing that Paul Giordano suggested that I bring to the membership's attention is there was yet another memo that came around from the court or the clerk's office earlier this week about new summons procedures. I think it only deals with alias and pluri summons, but in the past, and summons in involuntary cases, but in the past, if you filed an adversary proceeding, you needed to have an alias summons issued. You needed to prepare the summons yourself, and you'd upload it through the proposed orders website. Now the court is going to kind of generate or self-generate the alias and the pluri summons, so you don't have to do that. You still need to submit, I think, summonses in involuntary cases and on third-party complaints, but there's information on that on the website. And more details there. The last thing I was just going to point out is that in the April court connection, there's a case law update that Brad Saxton in Orlando prepared. It has recent 11th Circuit and Middle District and bankruptcy court cases. Certainly for those of us who don't subscribe to a service or something like that updates you, Florida Law Weekly or whatever. It's a really good tool. All of the cases are fresh. They were all decided during the first quarter of 2015, and there's some interesting decisions in there, and so it gives you citations to go on and look those up. So I would suggest you take a look at that. Was hoping to hear from Judge Delano. Perhaps she's still on the bench for those of you that want to stick around. Otherwise, that's all I had. The next meeting is May 21st. We have scheduled a CLE presentation that day. Larry Heinkel, who is a practitioner in St. Petersburg, is going to present on addressing tax claims, I think disputes with the IRS regarding dischargeability and things of that nature. So that'll be a more structured event, and there'll be CLE credit offered. For those of you who need it, we got back the from the Florida Bar, the number for the February meeting was when we gave a case law update that dealt with lien stripping and some Chapter 13 surrender issues. So, unless anybody else has anything, I guess we make it a short meeting. Thank you for coming. I apologize we didn't have more put together.